Alrighty, YouTube says we are live, so welcome to Worldwide Slot Car Chat on Zoom number 255. I'm your host, Greg Gabb. The gang is all here with Tony and Luff and Don and Garth and John and Dewan and Jim and other people. Let's talk about slot cars. I have a show and tell. Anybody else has a show and tell, go ahead and raise your virtual hand. Or if I do last call, wave your real hand and I'll try not to miss you. But I have one and no other hands are up yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do my share now. And it's been a long time coming, but I finally got one of these. This is the Carrera next gen, I guess is what they're calling it, NASCAR, modern NASCAR. For obvious reasons, that's the car that I chose. Generally, I like to get one of various classes of cars just for the heck of it. But it's always nice to have an excuse to get a yellow and blue one. So it is by default a pretty car, but it's also a Carrera, and they do a pretty good job with their bodies and the quality of the paint and the design and everything. So it's a good looking car. Here is the other side and rear view. Lots of yummy details. And the inevitable chassis shot. Now, I will say this is the first Carrera car I have ever purchased that has come with the legendary red guide in the box. People are always saying, "Oh, just open it. You want to run it on Scalextric? Just open it and put in a red guide." They include the red guide. I've never, until this day, gotten a Carrera car with a red guide. And I think I figured it out. And maybe somebody else out there can prove me wrong. But this is also the first time I've gotten a Carrera analog car. I almost always get the digital ones because you can still run them as analog, and then I can race them on a Carrera digital track if I so desire. So this is the first time I got an analog car, not a digital car. So I think that all the people saying they have a red guide, they're just by default getting the analog cars, right? Because they don't race digital, and it's cheaper to get the analog car. So they all have been getting the red guides. And Carrera includes the red guides in the analog cars because as an analog racer, you're much more likely to race the cars on different tracks, specifically Scalextric tracks, which is what this guide is needed for. However, Carrera digital cars, they pretty much expect only to ever be run on a Carrera digital track. Therefore, no reason to put money into more money into the box by including a red guide rather than the standard thick black guide. That is my theory. I would love for somebody to show me a new Carrera digital car sold in the US of A with a red guide. The other part of my theory is that digital cars over in the UK might get red guides because Scalextric is even more popular over there. But again, finally I get a car I can say, yes, I got a car with the red guide. Usually I just replace them with the BRM versions because it's like a 3-pack for $6 or $7 or something, and it's basically exactly what you need to run any Carrera car with these pop-out guide blades in a Scalextric track. So I got plenty of those, but it was nice not to have to use one of those for this particular car. Yep, that's it for me. Gonna stop that share.
Well, Greg, I just opened my brand new Carrera digital car, and it does not have a red guide in it. Has another black one, but it does not have the red one.
Yep. More evidence is desired, but I think that certainly helps solidify that one.
Now, Greg, did you run the car at all, or?
I have not. Oh. My track is still covered with stuff, and I got all kinds of projects running on in my garage, so not currently. I brought it to the race on Monday, but didn't have time to put it on the track, along with everything else going on. but I know what it's going to do. It's still a Carrera car. I know how it's going to perform. Stock tires, strong magnet. It's going to be like a Carrera car. There will be no surprises for me on that one. All right. Anybody else got any show and tell they want to show or tell? Jim?
Okay. Find my share. There we go. As now that I'm an avid 3D printer, and one of those things that happens is you start to run out of ideas. What do I print now? So what every good race pit box needs is a cup holder.
You stuck that to your pit box?
It's glued to the pit box. I used the little strengthening ribs there to glue it in. It is a perfect shelf, so it made a good base for it to put it in. And so now, well, it's not really a pit box. It's not really a cup holder. A couple of the things that have been driving me crazy for the last year or so is that my lint roller, I put it in the top of my pit box and it sticks to everything.
Yeah.
So I needed a solution for that. And I used the power bank to run my built-in light, and it just takes up space in the pit box. So the solution was, first of all, I built a new core for the lint roller. I hate the long handle, and now I can print one that matches the colors and everything else. And so it's easier to work with. So now it fits in my my pit caddy and matches the color. So that was the first thing that I tried to solve, and I did that. And now you see what that cup holder is for.
Yeah.
So this is to transport the lint roller to and from the track. So it doesn't get in the box. It's not in the box. It doesn't stick to everything in the box. And so that solves that problem. The other issue that I've been having is when I'm at the track, what do I do with my controller? I can put it in the top of my pit box. I can put it on my table. So the cup holder also has a cutout in it to hold the controller. So I've solved two problems with one product. As far as the battery, the power bank, I just put it on the back and I just printed a big rectangle and cut it out, and it holds the power bank. And now the power bank's out of the way, and I can plug it in. There's a hole in the side, to plug it in. I can easily take it out to charge because it has the prongs, or the receptacle outlets are built into this. So I have to take it out of that to charge if I charge it on a regular outlet. So that's my new pit box in search of the perfect pit box. I'm always doing that, and I'm always trying to figure out how to make it better and easier. So these, I think, are actually going to work. I'll try them out for the first time this weekend. And I'm sitting next to Marco at the California Challenge this weekend. So let's see what he thinks about my new products. And not that I didn't have any other time. Remember this one?
Yeah.
I finally decided I was having some printer issues, and it turned out to be the Z-axis. And so I've solved that issue now, and everything prints pretty. I was getting hit and miss as far as prints and the layers. The first layer sticking, it was the Z-axis was off. So changed that. Now the prints perfectly fine. Seems like it takes longer to take all the supports out than it does to print the stupid body, but it printed very well, all things considered. And so I may put this together and see how it runs.
Nice.
So lots of printing this week.
Yeah.
You have embraced the dark. You have embraced the dark side. Well done.
And it's all Greg's fault.
All my fault. Yeah.
If you keep at it, you're going to have to put some wheels on the bottom of that pit box.
Well, then you start marketing now. Put them out for sale.
I don't know if I'm going to sell this stuff or just keep it, but it's all the pit stuff is designed around the Harbor Freight box, which a lot of people use.
Yep.
Not everybody uses the power bank, so that may be something that nobody's interested in. But the roller holder, I think, as long as it's designed to use the Walmart insert.
That's what I was going to ask.
The Walmart lint roller, they're $1.09. I like the smaller size because they're easier to carry around. And so that's kind of generic. So I could market that because it is designed around a generic piece you can buy anywhere, or virtually anywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask if that was generic enough for most lint rollers because I use the
Yeah.
Target.
It's
The
it's
Target
it's
one seems
the
to be the most
I
aggressive
don't
or most adhesive one.
I don't I don't know if it's the same size. I just use Walmart because they're the cheapest ones and they work fine. And there's 60 sheets, so they last a while, but they're not big. I don't have to worry about trying to fit it in a pit box. So that's why I use that smaller size. And I
I
hated
have
the
to
big
tell-
handle. The big
I was gonna say,
long handle. I kept knocking it over every time I put it on the counter. So I built that little shorty, the core with a shorty stub on it, so it's easy to get out, but it's not in the way anymore.
Well, I like the dual purpose of the your print too. That it's for your controller as well as your lint roller.
And I haven't checked. Ian asked me if it would hold a Red Bull, and I'm not sure it might.
Well, I was going to say,
8-ounce Red Bull.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm lucky if I get to dust once a month. But I'm sure your tires are really, really clean.
Have to be, yeah, have to be.
And what was I going to say? That what I was going to ask now.
Jump in if it pops into your head. I think the lint roller holster.
Glue. What did you use to glue? What did you use to glue them to your Harbor Freight box?
E6000. If you've seen
6000,
my
okay.
my pit light before that sits up in the top,
Yeah.
I glued that in with E6000, and there's no way I can get it to come off because it is silicone if I want to, but in terms of just general use, it's locked in there. It holds fine.
All right, sign me up for 2.
Courtney missed my cup holder. Jeez.
I think you're right. I think it will hold a regular Red Bull because those are pretty.
I'll have to get one of the 8-ounce Red Bulls and see if it'll fit.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I'm going back to the YouTube channel so I can go back and see what's going on.
Oh, I'll share that one slide again. There's the cup holder, and they're in use.
Oh, I like that.
Show the controller.
Oh, yeah. It also doubles as a controller holder.
You're an evil genius, Jim.
And we think it may hold an 8-ounce Red Bull, but we're not sure.
Jim, you need to make one that holds the tools now. So you don't have to keep them inside the box. They're outside the box.
I didn't quite hear everything. I heard outside the box.
Yeah, the tools. Make one for tools.
I can do that, but I'm not that organized. That the tools would always end up on right in front of the box. So, yeah, that design, the way it fits in there, I was thinking about what to put on the other side. What to hold, because it's just a simple. It's basically 2 rectangular cubes that sit on the ribs in the box, so I can put anything out there. But if I did it with tools, they would never go in there. They'd always end up on the right in front of me.
I think that's definitely worth putting out there because of its multiple. Yeah, the cup holder, along with your replacement core for the lint rollers. That'd be a good set.
Call it for sticky triggers. Sticky triggers. How about that?
Yeah. That's why you're in marketing, right?
That's why he gets paid the big bucks.
Right.
All right. I think we're ready to move on. Go ahead, Mr. Weber.
Okay. Before we check out, has anybody tried this stuff?
I mean, it looks like the stuff that he's always talking about.
Well,
I haven't used the premium. I just used the regular.
The common one is the gray. Comes in a gray tube. But
what's so premium about it?
They have this too. I don't.
What's so premium about it?
Don't know yet.
The price.
I mean, doesn't this tube say something?
Certainly, the price.
You'd think the tube would say something about it.
It was like $1 more, or something like that.
Well, sure, but what does the tube say? Like faster drying or stronger bond or
clear, permanent, extreme flexibility, waterproof, indoor, outdoor, impact resistant, washer and dryer safe. Premium. Industrial strength contact adhesive. Yeah, I don't know.
Sounds like you paid extra for a label.
Maybe.
I mean, the only way to know for sure is to get some of the regular and get some premium and do a, you know, side-by-side test of some sort.
Do that all the time.
That's true.
The other thing is this. I got a car. This was on eBay, and it was advertised as a polycar. But when I got it, it was another brand, Pro Slot. Made in Romania. Anybody familiar with Pro Slot? I mean, I've seen the advertisements. I've never owned one.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's
some of them
not
are
bad.
good.
It has a
There you
little.
go.
It has a bit of a
Drop
pod.
arm.
Yeah,
Pod.
motor pod in the back, and it looks pretty nice. It was not very expensive, so yeah, Ferrari 430 Challenge.
That's a
car.
good car. We used to run that as a class. That pod, you want to glue that pod down because it bounces really weird. It's got like a little rubber holder in there for the pod. Just throw
Right.
that out, glue it down, and it'll go really good.
See,
They-
that's what this is for. Perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. That
That's-
is all. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, John. Any other show and tells out there? This is the time you wave your hand at me. I think you're just touching your lip there, Tony. Not a wave. All right, moving on to Club Corner. Since there's no more show and tells, past, present, or future racing, this is the time to talk about it. We did some more NSR Modern GT racing. This time was on Scalextric Sport. And unfortunately, the computer was having a hard time mainly because it's age, but also it was fairly warm in the garage. And at one point, it went to sleep in the middle of the race. And when we brought it back up, the progress had been gone. So made sure that the sleep settings were not improper, which they were. It was like set to 3 minutes or something like that. So if we didn't touch anything in the computer after 3 minutes, it just went to sleep. So they fixed that, and then so we basically started over at that point. And we got like 5 or 6 heats into the race, and it just froze up solid, just completely locked up, no response whatsoever. So we all kind of bitched and moaned and complained and decided that the best course of action would be to go ahead and pretty much start over because we had no choice, but then to only do 2 rotations instead of our normal 3 rotations because we basically just lost an entire rotation. And this time we did not rely on the computer. We got the computer up in order to put racers in and have it do its randomized rotation. And then we took a picture of that screen so we would always have the full, heat order and everything for everybody in case it did crash again. And we didn't bother having it track laps or anything. So went to the old paper route, and I don't do that kind of thing. So one of the other guys had been racing long enough that they'd done it on paper. They didn't have fancy computer programs and stuff or fancy lap timing hardware and stuff. They just fucking wrote it down. So we had this whole grid table system with names and heats and lanes and everything in order to put the number of laps per lane per person and add it all up and put the bonus points in there. And at the end of the night, I did not want to sit around and wait for them to tabulate because even though we had only raced about half as much as we normally race, it was still the late part of the night that I don't like to hang around in. So I grabbed my stuff and skedaddled. And then this morning, one of the guys who likes to stay up late and doesn't even get up the next morning until afternoon sent me a message saying, "Oh, by the way, you got first place." So, booyah. But that's mainly because our two hottest racers weren't there. One of them was off, doing his job, and the other one's off, doing family stuff. So my stiffest competition was basically not there. So it was much more even playing field, without those guys on there. But I managed to stay out of trouble, keep my car on the track, and just like last week, my car with all that extra weight in there, 10 grams in the pod, made for a pretty stable car. I think the only off I had was somebody nerfed me. So that definitely helps in a crash and burn racing situation. My friend also said, "Oh, by the way, I have your car." Because I was in such a hurry to leave, I completely forgot to grab my car. So, not that I was going to do any work on it anyways, but there you go. That's the end of my race night. Anybody else want to do Club Corner? Mr. Weber's got his hand up still. Is that before? Okay, I'll take that down.
Thanks.
All right. Any other racing? Anybody want to talk about racing? Courtney's talking to his family member, I guess. So I'll talk on Wayne's behalf since he sent me a variety of messages and images. So I might as well share the screen so you can all kind of read along with me. And move this out of the way because that's right in the way. Okay, so we won't be in the chat tonight. Perhaps you could mention that we three International Racing are at the Digital World Championships this weekend. Gio is already there. Oscar and I will travel tomorrow, and Yuna joins us on Friday. Cross fingers for us to keep an eye on YouTube. There will be live stream of some sort. And then he sent me this. I'm like, what in the world? And then he said, that's our schedule. Red means driving, green means resting, yellow means radio spotter, and orange is Marshall. So W for Wayne, G for Gio, J for Yuna, O for Oscar, and then S is a non-racer. He said, Sean is a non-driving team member. So they have their entire 24 hours planned out to make sure everybody gets resting time and driving time and marshalling time. They probably painstakingly went over this as a group to make sure that everybody was happy with what they were expected to be doing. This is the first time I've ever seen anything like that, but I'm sure other teams do that kind of thing. Maybe not this meticulously, maybe more like, okay, you'll do the first 45 minutes and I'll come in, and I don't know. I don't do 24 hours for very good reason. This is one of them. And then he sent, let's see, pictures of their car. This is, oh, other way. There we go. International Racing, Wayne Lander, Giovanni Rossello, Una No Lakers, Oscar Ellerstrand, and that is apparently the car they're going to be running. Number 5 in the hypercar class. And this is a picture of the track. There's Gio. I assume this is last year or last time. And he sent another, oh yeah. Here's a picture of your track if you're not already familiar with it. He said the chicane in the long straight is not going to be installed, so it's going to be a straight shot from that corner to that corner. And there is the built-up chassis. This is Wayne's chassis. Of course, they're, I'm sure Una and I know Gio's doing the body. I'm sure Una will do his own chassis. Gio probably is doing a chassis. This is Wayne's version. This is the chassis that he showed last week. That was all just one, still all stuck together. So obviously now it looks more like a car. And I know nothing beyond what you see here. He did not go into any additional detail, but we can see things like spring suspension on the wings. Or that could be a stack. That's probably a stack of O-rings, knowing him. And probably not spring. Stack of O-rings on the back and on the front. Looks like there's one on the front and rear body mounting posts as well.
Is that an antenna? The black thing?
Yeah, this is Yeah, this is an Oxygen digital race, so that's an Oxygen chip, which is a wireless digital racing. So the communication goes directly from the person's hand controller to the car on the track. So yeah, that's a wireless antenna. And here's the other side. I don't know what the specs are of the race. Not unlimited, other than like chassis that it can obviously
Sorry, Greg,
be.
that looks like a different car. The gears look.
Yep.
Oh, you're right. Let's see what he says. Okay. Here's the kit that I showed last week. Oh, for Mike Maurer, who doesn't appear to be present at the moment. Although I don't have the body, we calculate the distribution of Sidewinder to be 56% rear, despite the car being so long. And Una did a flat 6 version, so yeah, I don't know, maybe he...
Yeah, because one looks like an angle winder and one is a Sidewinder.
Ah, that's what it is, yep. Yeah, but it's not... It's the same... Looks like the motor is same kind of motor. But yeah, it looks like he built up 2 chassis there. Yeah, definitely 2 different chassis. They're both obviously in the same location, so probably both Wayne's chassis. Everything else looks pretty much the same as far as the O-rings are a little bit different on the front and rear mounting posts. But otherwise, it looks pretty much identical, other than the pod, obviously. And then what else? Una made a flat 6, all variants with 20 gram minimum body weight, with the regs minimum 72 gram, except the flat 6, which has a 73 gram minimum. And that's all she wrote. That's all he wrote. So we'll find out more on that. Hopefully things go well for them. So cross your fingers, knock on wood, wish them lots of luck. And hopefully the international racers will come through with a podium. Feel free to ask me any questions on that, but I won't probably have the answer. So, floor's open. Anybody else want to talk about racing?
Well, if one's an angle winder and one's a Sidewinder, is it the same class of racing, or is the hybrid?
Yeah.
Is it a hybrid?
So probably what they did is they're building up multiple versions, and they're going to test drive them all, and before the race, right, and decide which one as a group they all like the best, because they all have to be, reasonably happy with how the car drives under each of their own fingers, as well as lap times and all the things, which is why even if they were all the same motor configuration, you'd still build multiple chassis. Even if you built them identically, you would still build multiples of them just in case one O-ring is slightly squishier or slightly harder than another, and it just performs better for whatever reason.
Greg, on the Oxygen, can you program 2 cars to one controller so they can just literally take one car on, put the other car on, take one car off, the car on?
Yeah, that's super easy. You just program multiple cars to the same controller. The trickier part, and is something that Oxygen can also do, is clone the controllers. So each person can have their own controller with their own settings for the car, and be able to so when Una goes up, he can have his own controller. Wayne just turns off his controller, Una turns on his controller, and then drive the car away because each driver will have their own preferred controller settings. So you're not having to tweak the controller between drivers. That's more complicated because when you pair the car to a controller, the car is basically learning the very specific wireless identifiers of the controller, so that your car only responds to your controller. So in order for multiple controllers to control the same car, each controller has to be told the same wireless identification information without forgetting its original. so they each have a way to basically fudge the numbers so that the car thinks all the controllers are the same controller, are the same.
So you can either way. So one controller control multiple cars if you just take one off and put it back on, or vice versa. One car can be controlled by multiple controllers.
Yeah. What you don't ever want to do is have more than one controller turned on
Yeah,
at the same time. You can have multiple cars on the track being controlled by the same controller, just like if you put multiple cars in an analog slot, and it would be just as effective, i.e. not at all effective. But
yeah,
you
well,
could
yeah. If you take the car off, that car's not getting power, so the controller is going to send a signal to it, but it doesn't get it.
And like I was saying, if you can put 5 cars on the track at once, all responding to the controls sent by one controller. So you could pull one trigger and have 5 cars go off. But then 4 of them will definitely go off because you can't drive 4 cars at the same time the same way. Unless you just hold the trigger. Hold it at a low speed. Wayne can. One in each hand. Choo 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 choo.
Without our drag strip.
There you go. Not a whole lot of driving there. All right, any other oxygen questions? Okay. Floor is open. What you guys want to talk about? We've only wasted half an hour. We got plenty of time to waste here. I guess show's over.
I hear they're finally shipping the C1.
Oh, the MR slot car?
That's the rumor.
People are getting them.
I've seen them appearing in various people's Facebook feeds or whatever.
Yeah. I think they're, I don't know, they seem to be more in the UK and Canada. I don't know.
Did anybody here order them or order one or two?
Yeah, I ordered one back in last August. Now that it's almost a year later, I hope to get it soon.
Who'd you order from?
Electric Dreams.
I'll ask Marco for you on Friday.
What's that?
I'll ask Marco for you on Friday where your car is.
Okay.
I mean, are they still the distributor? or did that whole business adventure fall?
I don't know what the actual status is, but it did fall apart.
Yeah.
Now, Jim, is your race over the weekend going to be on YouTube?
Yes, but it's at Motown, but it's being streamed on Electric Dreams channel because it's an Electric Dreams race. And so Marco and his crew are coming up Friday to set it up for the video. So yes, it will be live streamed, but on Electric Dreams, not on Motown.
So you're going to wear something like distinctive so we can see you, right?
You saw my green Jaguar a few weeks ago. I have a shirt the same color.
Oh, so you're going to match your shirt with the car then?
Yes.
Awesome.
Actually, it's the same shirt that I have. I bought 2 of them at the same time, but one is lime green and this one's blue. So it's this pattern, but in lime green.
Well, don't forget to periodically wave because we're watching.
Okay. halfway between each feet.
I have a kind of a racing idea that I don't know if I'll be able to do, but maybe somebody else will with this idea. Is if you take and film your race, the actual track that everybody races on, and overlay, if you have a video editor, overlay, like say the yellow lane. And then you could see how the race actually was. Because, we all race at different times. I'm on lap 42, but you're on lap 27, even though we're racing together. I just wonder if that would be something like you could do. I've been looking at ways to do it easily, but I haven't found any easy way to do it. But I'd like to overlay the whole race, put people's names on the cars, and show the yellow lane race. And to show where everybody was. Because, there's always going to be people ahead and people behind, but you're not going to really know during the race where you're at all the time. So if anybody's like a video editing expert,
are you trying to show like a ghost car, like relative?
Yeah. Like World Rally used to do that, the ghost car with the leader and how far ahead you were behind.
Yeah.
I tried to do it.
Yeah, F1 does that for qualifying.
I tried to do that with some software. I was like, this is kind of hard. And then it was like, maybe it's just easier to do with a video editor.
Like Adobe. It would be because as long as you keep your camera in one position,
Yeah.
then
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, but-
overlaying is
And-
no problem.
You have
Yep.
start cues, when the timer goes go, you would know sync with go, and then you'd have to chop it in because we have sometimes like 10 heats, but you film the whole race from one camera angle, you're going to get all drivers that went through the whatever the red lane. So
Yeah.
it's possible. It's just my skills are very limited in video editing.
Some
Oh
of the
no,
video
that's
editors-
I got
easy.
it, Jeremy. I got it, Jeremy.
You can do it.
Yeah, I'm sure
No,
it
you
can be
can do it.
done.
I'm
with
not
some of the
gonna
video
do it.
editors.
You have to paint your track green
For green screening.
and then green screen the thing and then overlay a regular picture of the track behind it. And then you'll see all the cars running.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
can-
you don't have to do
can
that.
give it- There's ways of doing it with a typical video editor by just basically taking a percentage of the resolution of each that have multiple um, um, videos and say 15% on each video overlapping each other and just have them like that and just sync up the timetables on them and you'll be
Yeah,
able to
but
see.
Changing the opacity of each feed.
Yes,
layer.
yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, I know that Adobe Premiere can do like I think 8 tracks, so you could have 8 different
Yeah, that's what we're
videos
saying.
on top of each other.
You may have a
I was
limited-
just hoping somebody else with video skills could tackle that just to see if it works, and then share.
You
The
may not be able to do more
overlay-
than a half a dozen of those. That then it become too. It might beyond the limits of the software's multi layers of imaging that you could superimpose.
Well, I tried to do it with AI. I gave it all the times and said, "Here, do a cartoon like this," and it was just a disaster. So
Yeah.
it didn't work
If
quite
you-
as I
if
was
you
hoping.
Overlay them at different opacities. The problem's going to be the things that are static, like the track, will be normal because you've got 50% of each, but the cars in each feed will be considerably lighter. And you may not even see them.
Yes.
Well, if anybody figures it out, let us know.
Yeah, you don't have to really do too much with the you don't even have to make them opaque if you don't want to, because they'll still overlay on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be so faint that you may not hardly see them.
Well, it depends on how close they are, I suppose, in their lap times, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a cool idea, though.
Well,
I'd
yeah,
like to see it.
one's gonna. If you have to have the. Okay, I have to think through that. I'm sure I'll come up with a way to make it happen.
All right. Well, Dewan, if you got it,
There will be a
hit me a
limitation on how
message.
many cars you can do at the same time. That's for sure. It's going to be probably somewhere around 4 to 6 is my guess. You're not going to do the entire race.
I think
Based on the software that I'm familiar with.
I think the horsepower built into your computer will have a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, and for example, and to Dewan's point, whatever you're using for editing software, my favorite is Sony Vegas Pro, which actually has a lot of horsepower. So with something like Sony Vegas, you can do it no problem.
Yeah, but the number of overlays that you can have simultaneously is going to be limited by the software, the design of the software. It's a hard pass.
I've done over 8, no problem, and stuff I've done. So
and I haven't gotten to those levels. I never had a need. Jeremy's put it to a challenge.
But another factor, to John's point too, is CPU, RAM, and all that other. Yeah.
I mean, if you're editing, if you're doing an edit, then it just takes longer if your computer's slower. I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't try to do it live on anything but a full-on gaming rig.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do that, Jeremy, for our hockey group, because there's a service online called Live Barn that actually there are a whole bunch of cameras in arenas. So I download the files and I basically do highlights and sort of show where people are going. It's kind of the same thing, but with overlays and stuff like that, especially because there's nothing worse than a 60-year-old guy complaining that he wasn't offside, and then you show him the day later that you were offside. That kind of stuff is kind of cool. So yes, it is possible, Senator.
Yeah, but not easily. So yeah, I love the old WRC would have the whole course, and laid out, and they would have the first person that was the fastest, and you'd see how far behind or making up. But it came about, we were doing some race testing this weekend on different formats, and it was very hard to explain to people that even though we're in the same heat, we're not in the same we're in the same race, we're on a different heat. I'm on lap 20, you're on lap 40. It's different. Like if you're 2 laps behind, that's different because we're in different parts of the race. I just like to see it all at once so people can go, oh, that's why I'm making up my laps here and my laps of shame or whatever. Because I got lapped earlier, but I didn't see it because I'm in a different heat with you. So it's hard to explain to somebody.
That would be really cool because then you could see that two cars together. When one car's on the faster lane, he starts to pull ahead, and when the other guy goes to the faster lane, he starts to catch up.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of gives you that information in Race Coordinator in the spreadsheets, but it's still just a graphical line representation. It would just be nice to take that as a cartoon or digital something and do it, but it's going to be somebody smarter than me at this point to do it. Dewan, get on that. You're a rocket scientist.
You could take the graph.
Nobody's
You've got all the data in the graph, and then just put the cars on the track in the location where they are. Take a still frame,
take a picture.
Yeah. Second, take a still frame, and then composite the whole thing together.
Well, Jim, if we're gonna go crazy like that, I might as well just hire a crew to do it and get that. I mean, that's a lot of work, Jim, to do still animation.
Yeah, because you got to do about 30 per second too.
Yeah, it's a lot of pictures. All right. Well, if anybody comes up with it, let us know.
Bye, you guys. Tell you what.
And that concludes today's episode.
Well, I'm sure next week will be a lot longer because we're going to have at least a couple of race reports. So, yeah, maybe we should catch up on our sleep.
We need to hear from Courtney.
Yeah, come on, Courtney.
He's having too much fun with his AI assistant there, obviously.
He's wheeling and dealing, doing real estate deals.
There was another GT3 proxy last weekend, and Courtney was in it.
Uh-oh, what you gonna share, Jeremy?
Oh, you heard that.
Well,
you heard that.
I started working on my scale again just because it's been irritating me. I can't see if I got it right here. Let's see, sort of. So it's getting there. It's a lot closer than it ever was before, but I mean, it still works for weight on the back if you want, or on the front. It's not perfect because your car is not perfectly centered. I got to figure out a way to get the car perfectly centered, left and right, maybe measured. But anyway, I'm going to start working on it again. I think after going through some of the prices on slot car tools that can put your kids through college, I realized, I should probably get back on this because there's dollars to be made here.
99. It's 99. That's a wow.
Yeah, that'll be
and
cool.
That looked like a Ninko Classic you had there, Jeremy.
Yeah, we have a vintage series. It used to be primarily Ninko Classics. Lately, it's been a little of everything, but there's a market for a vintage kind of car, slower, but nobody's doing it these days. Well, I guess MR Slot Car is finally kind of doing one.
Well, okay, hold on. If we take a quick whip round, maybe I can bribe my daughter to get her XK120s back in production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe MR Slot Car will be doing one.
Yeah.
I can get it up perhaps maybe a little sooner if I get my daughter working, I'll just put her in the workshop and lock the door. Maybe that'll work.
Really, she's got nothing better to do.
That's the problem. She does. She has a life.
Hey, John, is it done yet?
Masking? Yeah. I'm just waiting. It's, we're getting Seattle weather here. It's pouring outside. The humidity's really high, so it's not great for painting.
No,
but
yeah. That way here too. Tons of rain and really high humidity.
I've got a question.
Get it, Tony.
What's the shipping like from America to the UK now with this
two arms, one leg?
With these new tariffs he's putting on everything.
I mean, that's
tariffs are
shipping and tariff is separate.
Yeah,
I think a lot of that's been removed though.
Yeah, but
some deal.
I can tell you in Canada we're still having labor dispute with our postal union. So I'm really hesitant to put anything dear in the mail system right now.
The actual shipping expense has certainly not gone down. If anything, it might have gone up. You know, what you'll pay in duties or import taxes or whatever, that's going to be on your end of things. There's no export duty for us, I don't think. So it's not like we have to charge you an export fee along with shipping.
I bought things from Stock Car Corner, but I've never had any charges put on. But with his saying he's going to do this and do that, I'm just wondering if.
I'll look up a rate to send it from the middle of the country to you here in a second, Tony.
Okay.
How heavy is the thing that you're ordering? Is it a car or is it parts?
Just parts.
So just a bunch of tires kind of thing, or?
But sorry, I have to ask about USPS, because in Canada, you can set yourself up as a small business sender and save on shipping. Can you do the same thing with USPS in the States?
No.
There's a variety of things that you can do. Like Jeremy's been talking about the international shipping that PayPal does, and consumers have had access to bulk shipping companies for a while, and especially now through PayPal and ShipStation and stuff. What they do is you send your thing to a local bulk shipper, and then they send over their own plane full of stuff, right? So instead of going on USPS from start to finish, it's going USPS to this bulk shipper, and then the bulk shipper ships it over to the other country. So the rates are lower than, generally they're lower than if you go straight through USPS, but not by very much. You have to be a lot.
If I want to ship from Iowa to you, Tony, with a 6-inch long by 3-inch by 3-inch box at 5 ounces, it'll cost me $20, $19.95.
Yeah, and 5 ounces, that size box is going to be most of 5 ounces.
Well, I was thinking just for parts, like small, cheap parts, like.
Usually what I do when I was printing a lot of fidget toys for people, I had some customers over there, and when I would ship a padded envelope, a bubble envelope with, a fidget that only weighed a couple ounces, it was basically within the 4-ounce cutoff, right? So 0 to 4 ounces is a price, and then 4 to 8 is a price, and 8 to 12 and up to 12. And even that, 4 ounces or less, a couple years ago, was $15. So you go from anything above 4 to 8 is going to be like $20, and then it goes up and up and up and up. It's way more about the weight than the size of the package, unless it's an envelope. And the if it fits its ship's standard, mailing rates, really is only a good deal when you're shipping something heavy. Like if you're shipping something light, even if it's big, like 3D printed stuff, you can print a big thing that's 3D printed, and it's still, less than a pound of total weight. Whereas if you put in the flat rate box that fits in, it's going to be charged the same as if it was friggin' 10 pounds.
Or I think I checked on, bumped into the numbers a little while back, and I think the max is 70 pounds. You can put 70 pounds in a
big flat rate
size box, and they'll ship it, and it's that flat rate.
Yeah, that's where the savings is heavy things on the flat rate stuff. The lighter it is, the less you're going to save doing flat rate. So pretty much all the stuff that I ship is light, so I almost never use flat rate anymore.
70-pound slot car, wow.
That's a whole bunch of tungsten weights in that box.
No, that's just 3 Carreras, isn't it?
So to beat the system, you just need to add bricks to your mailing.
No, that's the opposite of beating. If you want to F the system, you want them to ship stuff that doesn't need to be shipped. Yeah, there you go.
But they do have what they call media mail, which is you get a discount on that if you're shipping CDs,
Yeah.
DVDs.
It's got to qualify. It has to legitimately qualify as media.
Printed materials.
Yeah, just hope they don't open the box if it's not.
Yeah.
They're pretty strict about that. I used to ship out things media mail, and it has to meet that criteria, and they will sample it.
Yep. Yeah, there have been times where I either my scale was off or whatever, but I've shipped things like to the ounce of weight and gotten chargebacks because when it went through their system, it weighed an ounce or two more. And usually it's between a cutoff, right? Like I'll ship something that's, 10.9 ounces or 11.9 ounces. So I always round up to the next ounce. And sometimes I'll round up to the next cutoff just to be sure. And I put the weight, like if my thing is 13 ounces, right? On the label, I'll put 15.9. So that it's just under a pound for sure, but it's well above what my package actually weighs on my scale to make sure that I'm not going to get, because it's always way more expensive, pound wise, price wise per pound when you get charged back for it than if you just go ahead and pay the extra few cents for the next notch up on their pole. All right, let's turn it up, Tony. What you listening to? I'm kidding, don't. I was looking for things online to talk about, but I'm not really seeing anything.
Can you see it?
Oh, are you watching a race?
No, it's just telling you about the green box.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's look that up.
It's very easy to use, and we can use it on our home circuits.
It's AI English, isn't it? Because I know that he posts in a different language. Where is it? Telemetry. Here we go.
They're not 100% exact because you have to take.
Okay, you can go ahead and stop that, Tony. I'm gonna share it.
Where the finish line is. It doesn't connect to the. But the truth is that the times are.
Okay. All right. So this is what he's talking about.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the in-depth section. This week, we're going to talk about what you see.
I think I'm not going to do that. We're just going to kind of look through here.
Sorry, what is that?
It says telemetry.
So it's a transmitter, receiver transmitter.
Yes, I mean you're plugging your controller into it, but see, look on the bottom, it's got pins. So it's designed to plug into your 3-pin connector, probably based on the DS pin spacing. So you plug that into where your controller plugs into, and then you plug your controller into that. So this thing is gonna track all of your power consumption, your trigger motion and stuff. And then it looks like it's an app. So send it to an app.
But then what do you do once you have that? Like, don't you have to know how you were in the race, what you were doing?
There we go. I guess.
You could compare it to practice laps or test laps or whatever.
But you'd still have to see the car, know where you were, and go, oh, on the straight, I was full, how fast I came out of the straight or into the straight. Like, otherwise, you're just looking at charts with no reference.
Yeah, maybe it's like for consistency. Like if this shows, like if each of these is a lap, like this is the start of a lap, and here's the start of the next lap, then this kind of graph would show you your consistency. Like these the first three are way more consistent than this last one where he was apparently all over the place. But
right.
yeah.
And you can say something happened on lap 4, but are you going to go,
Yeah.
what was on lap 4? Oh,
What
somebody was in
happened
front
on
of me.
lap 4?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know.
What we're learning from this.
I like what he's doing here, but you got to really tie that into a video of your car on the track.
Yeah, he showed it first. He showed the track. Here we go. Yeah, that's definitely throttle control.
That would be a good addenda to the ghost car or ghost video you were talking about earlier, Jeremy.
Yeah, there it kind of looks like you can see the car and the telemetry at the same time.
Yeah. You sync the time frame of the two.
Yeah, we're not gonna listen. We're not gonna play that from start to finish and listen to it in real time, though. So I'll drop a link here to the video for anybody who wants to.
Well,
really.
Yeah. Should I get the link in all the drink here? Copy. Paste. There you go. If anybody's interested in that. It's conceivable, I guess, yeah. It's possible that such a device could also be used to record your controller input and then repeat that controller input and drive the car on its own. Whether that has the capacity to do that, I don't know. I'd have to watch that video from start to finish. I don't think so, because otherwise that would be a selling point. They would call it a telemetry box / ghost car box or something like that, so that people knew that would do that. But that's the kind of device that could totally do that if you put the appropriate electronics in there to control power. Somebody should do that. They could make tens of dollars.
You know, if we do 5 or 6 of these where we're making tens of dollars, then we're making more tens of dollars.
Yeah, 50s of dollars. All right. Well, I think we're lived out, so I'm gonna go unlive things. We're not unaliving. We're just not living anymore. So until next week, goodbye. Does somebody have something else they wanted to put in?
Yeah, I got one real quick.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you saw this, but there is another Corvette on the market. And this is from the guys 3A3D that built the Trans Am car. They've got lots of cars. It looks somewhat similar to another Corvette out there, and I'll just leave it at that.
It's a C1. But
It's
I think
a C1. They have a Roadster. There's 3 body styles. I can't remember. There's a Roadster, there's a Coupe, and there's another one. They're a variation, but there's 3 body styles. You see the chassis. It has a motor pod. And it, like I said, it looks somewhat similar to another Corvette out there, and I'll leave it at that. But it looks pretty good.
Sure, it looks like the one that Revell made in 1/32 scale. They made a 57.
Talk about the chassis.
Or the chassis. I'm sorry. I was looking at the body. I'm so sorry.
Do the chassis, does it line up with the other one?
I don't know.
Okay.
It looks similar. It uses an inline slim cam motor pod.
Something to look forward to from 3A3D then.
So more C1 Corvettes out there.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my Corvette. It's on the ride yet.
Well, we look forward to your show and tell. But yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the live. So everybody wave bye. It is now stream finished. And I'm going to reboot my computer.